No Americans were there at the time, but the war is now moving closer to Poland, a NATO ally, raising fears the alliance could soon be dragged into the fight. And as Russian ground forces inch closer to Ukraine's capital, we've learned an American journalist, Brent Renaud, was killed in an ambush just outside the city. A second American spoke from his hospital bed, describing how they came under fire after passing a checkpoint. Leaders around the world now condemning that attack. Tonight, refugees are still streaming out of Ukraine. Nearly 2.7 million have fled their war-torn country. But some experts warn that number could double or triple in the coming weeks. The president of Ukraine visiting wounded troops in a hospital, awarding some with medals for their courage. Tonight, some small signs of optimism for a possible ceasefire. ABC's Maggie Rulli spoke with a top advisor to President Zelensky and leads us off tonight from Lviv.
Tonight, in a major escalation, Russian forces attacking dangerously close to NATO forces on the Polish border. Just before dawn, Russian missiles striking a military facility near the town of Yavoriv, just about 10 miles from Poland and an hour west of Lviv. Videos circulating on social media show the aftermath. At least 35 killed, more than 100 wounded. One volunteer fighter who did not want to use his name telling Aranez de la Quintera.
This morning we wake up, there's missiles flying everywhere. I didn't have time to panic. I just focused on running as fast as I can.
That facility previously used by the U.S. and NATO to train Ukrainian troops. Our Martha Raddatz pressing Pentagon spokesman John Kirby.
If they strike in Poland, what happens?
Well, look, we take our Article 5 commitment very seriously. An armed attack against one is considered an armed attack against all.
The town of Yavoriv, along a route used to supply Ukraine with Western military aid. Russian officials warning such shipments are legitimate targets. But it's also a major route refugees have been using to get out of the country. It's a road American Keith Crow has driven many times. We meet him outside the train station in Lviv.
And what made you pick up from your life in Santa Fe to come here?
I couldn't watch it. So I went to the border, ran to the border essentially, rented a car, and saw people walking over.
He says he normally crosses the border twice a day, picking up people who need a ride in Ukraine and taking them to safety in Poland. When we meet him, he's surrounded by families. This woman tells us she's grateful for the ride, as Russian attacks are getting dangerously closer.
It was like a new edge in this war because we don't have any safety place in Ukraine.
As Vladimir Putin's forces advance on the capital of Kyiv, towns on the outskirts are war zones. In Irpin, 12 miles to the northwest, Ukrainian soldiers helping to evacuate the living and the dead. Among those killed, American journalist Brent Renaud. He and fellow American journalist Juan Arredondo coming under fire at a checkpoint.
Tell me, please, what is your name?
Juan.
Juan? Where are you from?
The U.S.
Juan describing the attack from his hospital bed.
We crossed the first bridge in Irpin. We're going to film other refugees leaving, and we got into a car. Somebody offered to take us to the other bridge, and we crossed a checkpoint, and they start shooting at us. So the driver turned around, and they kept shooting. It's two of us. My friend is Brent Renaud, and he's been shot and left behind.